That's one way to do a mic test with you, to ask you to say ek, do, teen. But okay, the mic is working. So look, how do I introduce the two of you? So, you know, Madhuri, I could start by talking about all the films you've done and the Filmfare Awards that you've done and all the great awards that you've done. Suffice it to say that on a personal note, everyone has that one favorite star that they've had all their life. For me, you've been that person, so it's great to be sitting here and talking to you. I tried to interview you way back in 1992. Ayodhya intervened. I tried to interview you in 1994. I had to go to Kashmir. So finally, here we are, and I'm getting a chance to interview you, so it's really great to have you here.
Finally,
at FICCI
yes.
Frames. Dr. Nene, cardiologist, entrepreneur, some of the things that you're working on in the digital field are really, really interesting and striking. I'm going to talk to you about that, not just Dance with Madhuri, but I'm going to take the occasion to push you a little bit on some of the other plans which are also really, really exciting. So put your hands together one more time to have both of them sitting here with us. As I said, kick-starting this particular day at FICCI in every sense of the word. I'm going to start off, because this is the conference that has really been talking more and more on digital. Now, the interesting thing which I have noticed at FICCI Frames over the years is about 10 years ago, the digital sessions used to be in one of the tiny little rooms in one little corner, and we used to go and hide there in a broom closet, and somebody said, you really want to talk about digital? Okay, you have 5 minutes. And now, you're here in the main ballroom with Madhuri Dixit and Dr. Nene, and you're discussing digital. So it just shows how the world is changing. It's becoming a digital world?
Yes, you know, I really believe, and so does Ram, that how we view content is going to change drastically. It has already started. You know, it's not just about the 70 movie parda, like they used to say, and that's where it is. Magic happens everywhere now. Even on your little phone, the iPhone, the smartphones, magic is happening there as well. So it doesn't matter whether it's a 70 it doesn't matter whether it's just a small, in centimeters. The screen is changing, everything is changing. The way we view everything is changing. The way entertainment is being given to people is changing. And I think, and so is education. First it used to be just the classroom or the home tuitions that used to give you education. But today it's, digital. It's there on your computers. It's there on your iPhone. It's there everywhere. And so I think the way entertainment or education or any other field, like even sports, to educate you in sports, even that has changed today, how it is being given to the people. So I see that, if you want to add something to that.
I think she hit it on the head, that we live in a magical time where you can take journeys far beyond your living room and beyond the film theater to worlds you've never seen before. And what's happening is people are cutting cords and they're exploring. My kids are excellent examples of this, in that they find stuff. Anything you ask them, they go to Google, and they look it up, and they come to us and they tell us. And we didn't have these tools when we were younger, but even beyond that, I think in all of our related industries in media and entertainment, as well as education, medicine, all these other things, I think digital is going to allow us to move much faster. And particularly in India, where we have a habit of leapfrogging, because we generally get technology late, we have an opportunity to educate the masses, to give them entertainment on a different scale, and to bring us as a superpower in the world, from India beaming out to the rest of the world.
But when we are looking at the new digital world, and I think this is one of the journeys that you have also taken, you've got to visualize it in a completely different manner than anything you were doing before. If you're making a movie, for example, you're planning for a large screen, it's a certain experience, and it's certainly a passive experience. If you're building an app or you're building something for a digital, for a mobile phone, it's totally different. The screen is smaller and it's interactive to a much larger extent. And you have started to make that transition in the apps and the other products that you're building.
Yes. Before we go on to that, I have to tell you something, that today there's so much information that kids have, at their fingertips, like Ram was saying, that it's hard to tell them stories that we've heard. Chand pe, there was a woman living on the Chand, and wo aisa dekhti hai tumhe, raat ko aati hai. The kids are like, Mom, do you know there's no gravity on the moon? Do you know nobody can live there? It's like, okay, I can't even tell you stories anymore. No fairy tales now. Everything has to be facts, and nothing can be really fiction. So that's one of the things that I see.
Yeah, try
happening
telling
with
kids
the
about
kids.
Santa Claus. Santa who? What are you talking about?
Exactly. Everything, is facts and real and there. And our journey began in a similar way because Ram was working on his healthcare project, which has brick and mortar, which has digital, and which has AI and everything. He will explain, to you about that. But he was starting on his healthcare venture. And one day I was just sitting, and I was wondering. I said, you know what? Dance is my passion, and I have learned dancing since I was 3 years old. And when I saw them working on this, I started thinking, can we do this for people? Can I do this for people? Can I share with them this passion? Can I, bring... Now, people ask me, why are you so good at dancing? It's because I got to learn with the best of people. I got to learn with the best of gurus. The Guruji who taught me when I was 3 years old, or Pandit Birju Maharaj Ji, or Saroj Khan Ji, they all are good teachers, and they are the best in their field. Can I get, people like that to teach everyone, and share this passion with my fans, with people who want to learn dancing? And this was what was going on in my head. And I said, today, this dance you see in films is very commercial. It's, but your roots are always in how you learn and from whom you learn, the accessibility. I got access to them, but not everybody can learn from Maharaji or Saroji. And so I went to Ram and I said, is there any way that I can teach people this passion? I can take it to every house so that they can learn. And once they learn, it also gives them skills where they can go out into the world, teach other people, and they can make a living out of it, or they can get jobs, and stuff like that. And that's how the journey for Dance with Madhuri started, actually.
And it's not just people who want to be choreographers or really work on dance in films. These days, if you go to any shadi,
Yes.
everyone's dancing. They're on stage. They're dancing. It's like a mini Bollywood production sometimes that they're all doing it. So
Yes.
that, I'm sure, is one of your key target audiences.
Absolutely.
Next time you go to a shadi, don't make a fool of yourself. Learn to dance.
Learn to dance with Madhuri. But yes, that was one of the things because, people come for shadis nowadays. Destination shadis have become the in thing. Somebody's from Mumbai, somebody's from the US, somebody's from the Caribbean, somebody's from somewhere else, and they all get together to that one shadi, that destination. But how do they learn? I mean, if they have to dance together, then they have to learn the same thing, right? Then they'll have to come there early and try, choreographing, learning, everything. But this is all ready-made. You just go on the website, you learn from it, you upload your videos. Our choreographers can, give you hints and how you can improve, and then they can all come together and perform the same thing.
Ram, but one of the issues in this, and I'm sure you face this, is there is still a lack of connectivity. I mean, India is changing. Connectivity will come, and hopefully in the next 3 or 4 years, it will be more ubiquitous. Right now, there is a lack of connectivity. Is that one of the reasons why you took the decision to go back, in a sense, from digital to slightly older media? I'm not sure you can call Tata Sky old media, but at least back on the television set, because that's what you did. You took the same product, and you said, I'm going to put it back on Tata Sky now.
So it's an excellent question. You have to evolve, and you have to see what the audience needs. And our vision was simple, that everyone should have an opportunity to learn. No matter where you are, no how big you are, how small you are, it should go to the last mile. India is still in its nascency, I would say, in broadband technology. And the cost of content, the cost of gigabytes of data is still too high. And that'll change as Wi-Fi becomes public, as you get 4G penetration everywhere. We will leapfrog that problem. The other problem we were suffering from was there were no good payment gateways. And that's all changed since demonetization and whatnot. But in the process, what we said is to get to the last mile and to enjoy it as it should be enjoyed, our product, and we had almost 150 hours of content, over 1,800 lessons, needed to be everywhere. And so one of the partnerships we brought in was with DTH. And one of our first partners was Tata Sky. And we took it out to 15 million people. Within 3 weeks, we had 100,000 paid subscribers. So this provided a a means of monetizing it, but more importantly, provided a low-cost way to take it out. And when you think about it, one dance lesson is 700 rupees. On our platform, for a month of 150 hours, it's 99 rupees. On Tata Sky, it's 59 rupees for a month. And so what we've done is we've really disrupted how you learn. At the same time, we took those same lessons on ground now to 11 schools in India, and we're increasing every single day. And we're taking the same people we trained from the app and from the other environments and giving them jobs. And so this is the ultimate Skill India project where you learn, move, and unite. And at the same time, one other adjunct which we thought was interesting is I put a heart rate band on her. And during her dancercise lessons, in 15 minutes, she had burned almost 400 calories. Her heart rate was sustained 130 to 150.
And it's probably a lot more fun getting Madhuri to teach you to dance, burning calories that way rather than being on a treadmill.
And that actually became
give me your cardiological advice now. Is it actually the same? Don't run on a treadmill, learn to dance instead?
Oh, it's a whole different world. You're using so many muscle groups and actually having fun. And the hardest part is to getting...
That's your professional advice as a cardiologist.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're sure.
Do something you love, right?
Ditch your statins, ditch the treadmill, and start dancing.
You know, also treadmill can be so boring. You're just at one point and you're going nowhere. You're trying hard to go somewhere, but you're not. And when you have like someone, you know, teaching you and dancing and, you know, you put your hand here, now your leg there, your mind is also thinking and trying to coordinate everything, that ye haath hai, to ye tang hai, to aise hai, to wahan pair jayega. And you're thinking of all that, and it kind of, the time just goes, you know. It's 30 minutes are up and you're like, wow, I sweated out, I didn't realize 30 minutes are gone, and, you know, you have fun at it.
All right. I think you convinced a lot of people in this audience to certainly, you know, to certainly give it a shot moving ahead. But you know, I have to ask you this question: the type of dance that people want to learn. Now, I don't want to, in any way, badmouth some of the dance trends that you're seeing right now. But you spent years when you were a kid learning Kathak, and that's difficult and it's complicated. If you see some of the dance steps in Hindi movies right now, it sometimes seems you just have to wear fairly few clothes and, you know, wriggle a little bit, and that's dance.
And that's difficult too, because you have to look good also while doing that. Well, I won't say that, I won't criticize what's going on, but if I want people to get reintroduced to something that I have learned, something that my experience has been, you know, I'm sharing that experience with them through Dance with Madhuri, because we have the best of choreographers. We take up the Bollywood dances because Bollywood is famous and you cannot run away from the fact that people love Bollywood, and that's why I am who I am. That's why people love my songs, they love my dances. But I feel if they want to learn that, nazakat kya hai, you know, what it is. We are not only teaching Bollywood dancing, we have all types of dancing. Whether it is Indian classical, there's Bharatnatyam, there's Kathak, Maharaji has taught Kathak, the best dance guru you can ever dream of or learn from. So those nazakat, those adaएं, everything is there.
No, so that's exactly the point I'm trying to ask, that in the present, in 2017, is anybody interested in nazakat or adaएं, or even grace for that matter? Because sometimes what you see has got none of those. There's no nazakat, there's no ada, and there's certainly very little grace. I'm not saying everywhere, I don't want to make generalizations, but there are some people, and I'm sure you must be seeing it when you're seeing movies right now, you're saying,
people are
you
craving,
could do what you're doing, but do it with a bit more grace.
No, people are craving for that. I mean, why do you think the songs that we have, like my song, say, for example, from the 90s, Choli Ke Piche Kya, any of the songs that you pick up, why are they still popular? Why are people still watching it? Why do people still love me? You know, it's adaएं, they like it. They want to see it, they want to see more of it. And that's why, you know, songs like Kahe Chhed Chhed Mein or Mohe Rang Do Lal, you know, people just love to watch those songs.
I think the one thing, you bring up a very good point, that Bollywood, by and large, is the most popular form in India. But the thing is, the audience for the classical dance forms is there, and the problem is, how do you make that sustainable? How do you get people to get interested if they've never ever seen it? And particularly in some places, you don't have access to this sort of stuff. So when we have 35 different dance styles, ranging from classical Indian to jazz to contemporary, and the other interesting part, which you'll find interesting, talk about Made in India, 50% of our audience is actually overseas. And not just Desi audiences, but they're learning and they're uploading thousands of videos. And so what we're learning is we're sparking a revolution and bringing together a community platform. And that's what we wanted to do, that how do you translate passion in film, in music, in acting, in
So
dance?
tell me, you must be having user statistics. What are the young most interested in learning? Are they interested in learning some of the better forms of dancing, or are they all saying, well, show me a little bit of hip hop and jump up and down? And
So it's very interesting. We have deep metrics on various different platforms. And so we know every user's journey, and we help them along. We have users from 5 to 80, but our predominant pool is from 18 to 44, and 70% of them are women. Now, the interesting part is fitness was, by and large, something people do every day, and they use it for that. But when you look at it, there is a subsection of people learning Kathak and Bharatanatyam who are very dedicated to what they do and stick with the program. By comparison, for the shadis, they come and they'll learn Bollywood with all of their friends for 30 days, and then once the Sangeet is over, they will then come sporadically.
but is it a minority of people who are wanting to do the more traditional dance?
I mean, it's hard to know because our numbers are only about 3 million and we had 31.5 million video views. But I would say it depends on where we're catching from. So to answer your question, I would say the majority are definitely Bollywood, and that's worldwide. But at the same time, there's a significant minority who are learning real stuff and never had access to that before.
Okay, before I allow the subject to go, so how often is it that you will see dances or songs being done on the screen right now when you watch movies, and you say, I could do that, but with a bit more grace?
Do I have to answer this question?
Yes. I think Karan did ask you that question.
But first of all, let me tell you that, some of the steps the girls are doing now are, there's so much acrobatics and they're doing so many things which maybe it's impossible for me to do. Like I couldn't be able to like jump like that or take a cartwheel or something. But sometimes I do wish that the camera would stay a little bit and just show a little bit of expressions, what the girl is feeling, and not just with the body, but also with the face.
Yeah, and item numbers
And
also. It's not that
expression.
you haven't done naughty songs, no, with naughty lyrics, but you did them in a slightly different way to some of the item songs.
Because I had a lovely guru, Saroji, who was choreographing for me for those songs. And like I said, there's a lot I've learned from her, and it's something that I want to share with my fans or my followers or people who like to see me dance or who want to dance like me.
So when it comes to learning things and learning things digitally and online, and I think, Ram, to take your point forward, this is going to be one of the, perhaps the biggest trend that we're going to see digitally. Learning, education, people trying to get information out of digital means is perhaps going to be one of the big trends of our time. Where else can you push it? Before I come to him on that, could you learn acting through an app?
Yeah, why not? Yes. There are courses of acting, though I have never studied acting before I started working. But there are courses, there are institutes out there which teach you dancing. There's the Pune Institute. Yes, it is possible because it is basically expressions and it is, what you feel, and you can talk to people and, teach. It's easy to teach, in fact, acting than dancing, because dancing is a lot of movements, and so people have to follow that. But with acting, I think it's going to be a little easier to teach.
So I think you've kind of taken our business plan and roadmap out of place because music and acting are actually our next two coming. What we built was an IP structure, and you can populate it with anything. And the idea was it's always three things. It's brand, content, and construct. The brand should be a domain authority in that area. The content should be world-class, filmed on the sets of any studio in the world. And the construct should be able to deliver it. I mean, this was one of our principal issues, that with her popularity, our servers on Amazon were crashing. And we had to redesign them so they could handle 1 million users a second. And so, we had to do a lot of stuff, but now we're in a position to do that. The second thing is, in India, method acting and really focused study was not even there until recently. And so I think there's an opportunity there to take it forward.
Yeah, well, it's the era of transparency, so I might as well get your full business model for the next 8 years right out here. Forget the audience, don't worry about the fact that this is being televised. When you're doing your medical app and taking medicine to the population.
We're already in...
You don't have to answer that
No,
if you don't want to.
we're already working on it, and the idea is simple, right? That everyone should have access 24/7, 365 days a year from the best. And the second thing is, what you have to do is empower the patient and scale the doctor. And to do that, we're building something which is very unique, which will hopefully change the way medicine is practiced. Because I think the biggest problem I see in this country and worldwide is a scarcity of resources. There's 1.25 billion people and only 1.6 million doctors, of which 800,000 are allopathic. On top of that equation, when you go into the rural areas, which is 70% of India, only 2% of all MBBSs make it out there. And so in order to do that, this digital gateway provides the infrastructure.
But the risks are slightly higher. If somebody learns a wrong dance step on the internet, all right, you learned the wrong dance step, you're going to make a fool of yourself at a wedding. If somebody gives bad medical advice on the internet, you could kill someone.
Yes,
so that's why.
And the idea is simple, that you engineer how people behave. You change their habits fundamentally, build in wearables, and then you have physician care extenders who are using your devices to deliver care. Because the problem is you're not going to be able to get more doctors. We don't have enough med schools. We don't have enough armamentarium.
Now, extending this to taking Indian culture, Indian industry, Indian films to a more global platform. And Ram was saying that it's not just Indians or Desis abroad who are watching this. It actually does spread to the general populations there as well. And how tough is it to explain to them what Indian dance is? I'll give you an anecdote. A friend of mine was here from England for a wedding. His daughter said, I actually understand the way Indian dance works. There are these steps. You do change the light bulb. You do put things on the top shelf of your clothes. You spread seeds. Those are the basic steps.
Yeah, you have to kind of understand their life and what they see today. Like, there is a little step in Kathak called Kran, where you have to turn your hands like this. Now, whenever I teach that, I always think of what the kids today see. Where do they see this movement? And then you say, hey, the pizza guy who makes pizza, he throws the bread. So just imagine you're throwing a bread in the air and you're just turning it around. So you have to, kind of understand them and teach them in their language. It's the same thing, but you're teaching them in their language.
All right, but let me just shift focus away from digital for a bit. It's been, 5 years since both of you have come back to India. Given that Trump is now the president of the United States, probably a good decision to have taken. Which of you?
Well, we didn't leave it up to him. We just came here, by ourselves.
Right, Ram.
I'm sorry, can you restate the question, please?
No, I was just wondering whether the decision to come back to India, how you're feeling about that. Is it a particularly good decision now that Trump is the president? And you're getting a lot of your other friends, including American friends, saying, hey, can we join you?
I think worldwide, things are becoming very contentious. And as Britain would allay to what you were up with all night yesterday, it's sad because it's become a language of hate where it should be love. And India has lived, if not in peace, at least in harmony for 4,000 years. And being an Indian at heart, being here makes me happy, right? I think the US and the infrastructure we were talking about is certainly something they could share with us, or with Japan, with India moving in that direction. And that sense of discipline is there. But I would say the things I'm seeing globally, not just in the US, are a little bit disconcerting.
Right. So I've been asking for questions on social media also, and a lot of people are still absolutely fascinated and interested by the stories of your life and what happened when you went out there. So I am going to, and I know you've repeated some of this in the past, but I'm going to take the occasion to ask you again. So, for starters, when you went from here to America, you've often said that you really enjoyed that feeling of freedom that you had at that time. You could be anonymous, you could go to shops, you could go to malls, you could do all of that. Was there ever a time when you actually had the feeling of going to somebody and saying, "Tum janti ho main kaun hu"? I'm going to flip the question a bit from what you've often heard lots of times.
Going to someone and saying, do you know who I am?
Well, in the sense that you went to a shop, you went to somebody, some cop stopped you and said, you have an ID card, who on earth are you? And you say, people know who I am.
Yeah, not really, because, you know how Indians are everywhere today. Even in Denver, we did have Indians there who did recognize me. When I used to go shopping or grocery, sometimes, you know, you bump into people, you meet another Indian while you're picking up tomato and gobi and all that. And they're like, hey, hello, you know, it's great to see you. And you say, yeah, how are you? But it's so courteous, it's so nice. They just say, oh, we love you, we love your movies and stuff like that. And they do respect the fact that, you know, it's your private moment and you should be left alone. And they say, we just wanted to tell you that. And, you know, they kind of go their way. But sometimes, you know, it used to get a little scary for me because I had just started driving there. And, you know, I used to go to strange, like, I'm just trying to find addresses and stuff like that for the first time. I've never done that in India, right? Because I always had people with me wherever I went. So for me, it was also a little scary going out on your own, you know, not having anyone to, you know, kind of just take you there. That's what we were used to in India, right? We just sit in the car and the driver just takes you there. Sometimes you don't even know where you're going and he just takes you there. And you have to find it on your own. तभी थोड़ा कभी-कभी लगता था, I wish people would recognize me and they would say, no, you're going the wrong way, go that way, that's the way you want to go. But, you know, that you have to discover everything yourself.
And of course, the big problem that you will increasingly be facing going forward, and especially if you're starting numbers, when people are coming up to you and you're not expecting it, is that earlier they would ask you for autographs, and that's fine. Now everyone asks you for a selfie. And you're saying, my God, look at the way my hair is.
Yeah, the day you have oil in your hair and you think nobody's going to see you today, and you're like the shabbily dressed, and you're like, I just want to go out, just get a pair of something, milk, lana hai, bachon ke liye, and you just step out, and that's the day you're going to meet someone. You know, saying that, can we have a picture? And you're like, oh my God, now she's going to have a picture with me looking like this. So it does happen sometimes.
And what did you say? Can I give you an autograph?
Let's do it. Because you're your fan.
So there are all those pictures of Madhuri Dixit out there with oil in her hair somewhere on the internet, which people can now go and find. Can we put them all up? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. And is it, actually, and again, this question I'm sure you've been asked, but is it actually true that you had absolutely no idea of who she was?
So you know, no one believes it, but I grew up in LA and I worked at UCLA and with a lot of the celebrities, but I hadn't grown up watching Indian films. And so the way we put it is everyone put their pants on one leg at a time and you needed to treat them the same way. And so my parents moved to London in '63 and then to the US in '73 and really hadn't kept close ties to the Hindi films or anything else, unlike many Indians, I must say. But as a result of that, it was refreshing for her because